You've taken something.
I have not.
You've taken something. You didn't even act surprised, for fuck's sake.
This is like the Birmingham Six all over again.
Hand it over, you little shit. Don't make me frisk you.
You're tripping, Nick. If you think you're gonna frisk me, I'll have you up on charges.
Do you want me to batter the hell out of you, Eugene? Because I will, boy. No questions asked.
What in the hell are you doing? It's tiny.
It's a danger. John Wilkes Booth's run to assassinate Abraham Lincoln.
I wouldn't think it'd do that much damage.
They get the job done, so I'm told. Although I can't see what use they be to their art.
Maybe they're for killing little Protestants.
Killing little Protestants? That's funny.
Directed and written by John Michael McDonough, brother of Martin, who we all know, starring Brendan Gleeson and Don Cheadle. James, this was your pick. You're choosing a humorous film again. Just first of all, why did you choose The Guard?
Well, because I wanted to watch a comedy, or that gave that as an option to watch at least. And secondly, because as you mentioned, it's directed by Martin McDonagh's brother, which interested me because it features stuff that it features kind of the same actors and cast that are within his brother's films, with like the obvious comparison being within Bruges, with Brendan Gleeson in it. And I just thought that if he could capture the kind of same humour that's within those films that I really enjoyed, then this would also be a film that we would probably enjoy as well. So that's really why I was interested in it.
Clearly brothers. They get their humour from the same place, clearly. Who wants to comment first on this one then? Gub? Tom?
Yeah, it's on Zoom, so it's Gub. I was a bit disappointed by it, if I'm honest. And I don't know if that's because it was just, it's interesting you mentioned it in Bruges there straight away, but I just felt the shadow of that hanging over this film the whole time. Like, I would say that's one of my favourite comedic films ever. Like, I just watch it endlessly in Bruges. I love it. And I don't know if it's the casting or anything, the fact that the humour is really similar. I just felt the whole time just comparing it to that and thinking, it's not as good. Surprisingly, I didn't have that many laugh out loud moments with it. It was humorous and I was kind of smiling the whole way through, but there was no point that I laughed out loud at any of the jokes or anything. And it just felt like a bit thin. I know it's a comedy, but some of the sub characters, like his the policeman that he was working with and the evil gangsters and stuff, I think the film could have done a little bit more with them. I thought those scenes probably dragged it down a bit. The ones with Brendan Gleeson on his own were probably the best. And his dour attitude, I thought, was the most entertaining part of it. So yeah, for me, it was a little bit flat, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I do think that is because as soon as I switched it on, all I could think of was in Bruges, the whole way through
it. Who agrees with Tom?
I do to an extent. I think that there were moments where I felt they needed to have a stronger character alongside Brendan Gleeson. I think one of the reasons why in Bruges is so funny is that you've got the two of them, Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, that they're riffing off each other the whole time, and it's their just relationship and attitude toward each other's like life. Like beliefs, etc. Just is so funny. Just the two different slants they have on things. Whereas in this, I agree. I think he had some occasional people that were alongside him, but actually a lot of the time he was left out on his own to try and bring the humour. And I think that worked well to some extent. But at times, I think maybe either the jokes didn't land, or if anything, they probably landed with a little bit of a cringe at times. Some of them. I don't know. I don't know how well received the humour of this film would be like 10 years after its like initial release. I think some of the comedy is a little bit like at times, but
Some of the racist stuff.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it knows what it is, right? And I think it to some extent, I was happy to laugh along with some of them at those points because of that, because I felt it knew exactly what it was trying to do, and it wasn't unashamedly so at times. But I do wonder if this gets showed 10 years down the line, whether some of those will literally just be met with straight out, that wasn't funny. I don't know. I don't know what you guys felt about it. Like, I feel like based off the pause when Guy asked the question, there were probably some people that felt that it was really, really funny.
Well, James, I'm glad you jumped in because I thought it was going to be another one where I had an opinion. Everyone just said, no.
I thought it was funny. Again, it's the obvious comparisons in Bruges. You're right in that, James, it did need a second lead. I think it was still funny, but it wasn't anywhere near as funny as it could have been if they had another strong lead. Don Cheadle, I like as an actor a lot. This was by no means his best work. He didn't really add much.
He played a very stereotypical character, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he was just there as a plot device, really. He didn't really offer anything, actually.
Well, it was also just the straight man, like the FBI straight man comes in and then he has to put up with this fucking disrespectful Irish guy. So I see like from a writer's perspective,
I think
the contrast between the two.
They could have given him a bit of an arc. They gave the backstory about him going to Harvard or wherever it was that he went to, and they could have given him a little bit of an arc, and they didn't really, other than him turning around at the end. But it was still quite funny. It was short. I think it was about the right length for the film. Any longer, and you think, all right, when's the heist going to be? And I think I really like Mark Strong as an actor, and I think I was a bit disappointed by him as well. They didn't really flesh out the bad guys at all.
Yeah, I thought he was a bit of a letdown because he's a really good actor and he can be quite funny. Like, he's funny in Grimsby and he's funny in a few other things, and their scenes were really kind of short and slapdash, I thought, on that side of things.
Liam Cunningham, I thought, was pretty funny. Was pretty good. He played Davos in Game of Thrones. I thought he was really good in the film. Every scene he was in, I believed him. I haven't also seen him in that kind of character before, so it was kind of fresh for me to watch him. Do you know what I mean? But I think he's the ringleader, the guy who's sitting on the bed of the boat at the end, surrounded by flames. I thought he worked well as one of the gangsters.
But he was the only gangster that wasn't one-dimensional, wasn't he? There was the
one
that was meant to be dim.
I mean, just the acting was pretty good.
Yeah, but there was the one crook that was meant to be dim. The other one, Mark Strong, that was just obsessed with like getting kicks off violence and all that kind of stuff. And then he was the only character really that actually had a bit more to him, just probably through the scene in the diner with the milkshakes and stuff like that. But even so, I suppose as villains, they were still a bit like, I don't know whether it's because they just, whether John McDonagh wanted it to be like simple, it's in the corner of Ireland somewhere. So the crimes are quite simple, the crooks are quite simple in that way as well. It's not meant to be like this large-scale, massive thing where you've got criminal masterminds and stuff like that, maybe. But I see what you mean in terms of that.
It's not meant to be like a complicated drama. It was just meant to be like
it's a light-hearted dark comedy.
Film with a shitload of like really witty, kind of deadpan delivered dialogue, and just put a really great lead in the role and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think you can actually criticise the film for not having well fleshed out characters. I'm not really going to judge a comedy on whether I felt the bad guys were fully three-dimensional or not. It's just really whether it made me laugh or not. So I don't really hold anything against it for that. It was mainly just the fact that I wasn't finding myself constantly chuckling along lines, and some of the points I was feeling like, I feel like I was meant to laugh there, and it didn't land for me. That's really my main thing. What was everyone's funniest part of the film? I'm interested to know, like, what was the bit that made you laugh the most?
I was literally about to ask that. The milkshake scene for me was
it was fucking hilarious. That bit absolutely killed me. That was the one bit where I was fully like belly laughing, couldn't stop.
See, I'm differing to you and Tom then, James, because I thought it was hilarious. I thought it's my kind of like humour. And like you say, the In Bruges style stuff. Yeah, a lot of it's sort of. And the plot was quite simple and on the nose, but I thought the humour was I thought it was hilarious. Like, I laughed out loud a lot. But maybe that's just my type of humour. Like, even just it's such simple stuff. Like when the wife of the officer knocks on his door, and he's just there, and he's like, "Oh, I think you've got the wrong night or whatever. Did you speak to the agency?" And she's like, "Oh no," explains who she is. And he's like, "Oh, okay," and shuts the door and just goes, "Let me just change into something less comfortable," because he puts his clothes on.
So well delivered. I thought that was
he's just in his box.
Part.
He's in his box. He just then puts his kimono on and stuff like that. Let me put something less comfortable on.
I like the line where they were asking about did he know any in the they got the projector on and they're doing the briefing quite at the start, and they're asking about the fourth man. He's like, well, yeah, I hope he's dead because I put him in the morgue.
Yeah.
That
scene was.
I cracked that.
I see what you mean in terms of like some of the racial stuff in that as well. Like when he talks about only black people were drug dealers or whatever and stuff like that. I was like, stuff that just 8 years old now. This, and you're kind of like, and he's like, I'm Irish, racism's in my culture and stuff. It's like, is that even really that funny? I don't know, but maybe it was at the time. But some of the humour didn't hit so much, but even stuff down to him being like, I liked the ambiguity around his character as well that ran through to the end in terms of everything that he says, and Don Cheadle just being like, I can't tell if you're really stupid or really smart or whatever, and I think that really worked with his character the whole time. I used to swim in the Olympics, and at the end, the little boy actually was jokes as well.
Yeah, I thought he was jokes too.
Yeah, he was so funny. Some of the scenes he was in. I don't know.
Do you think another actor could have done the same other than Brendan Gleeson?
I thought he was great. I thought he was.
I think it was him that brought so much to it.
Yeah, I think he carried it a lot. I think it was. Yeah, for me, I think it's personal preference though with comedies. When we did comedies before, was the last one we did Palm Springs, where I absolutely loved it, and everyone else kind of indifferent. It's quite objective, isn't it? But yeah, for me, I thought he was brilliant. He was great. Well, on the funniest scene, my favourite was when he's on fire in the bed and he's like, "Oh, you've got half a billion's worth of coke." He's like, "$500 million? No, it's 200 million." He's like, "Fuck's sake, nobody's overestimating." That cracked me up. But that was like right at the end. But yeah, I thought he was excellent.
I was wondering when one of us was going to try a bloody Irish accent on this review.
How was it? How terrible was
what a letdown it was.
Yeah. But that's a clickbait.
Yeah.